Hi, and welcome to O2 Tara Talks, conversations about one thing you can do right now to stay healthy in your body and mind. And first, a little disclaimer, today's talk is for informational purposes only. Consult your practitioner for guidance specific to your situation. And with that, I would like to tell you who we are talking with today. It's Dr. Nancy Little, a licensed professional counselor. Hi, Nancy. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Tara, for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. Can you tell us, Nancy, in one sentence, how you help people?
I help people make proactive choices to increase their wellness, their sense of being in the world.
I think that's a really important topic, especially right now with everything that we have going on. So can you tell us, Nancy, what is one thing that you can do right now?
One thing that I suggest to all my friends and family and colleagues is to take the time to be kind and gentle with yourself and engage in self-care at least a few minutes a day. And that would be intentional self-care.
Good. And so can you take a minute and tell us what you mean when you say intentional, and then also tell us why that is important for our health?
Well, on any given day, but particularly now, we're experiencing unrelenting stress. And when we take care of ourselves, we help our bodies stay well, we boost our immune system, and we make ourselves more available to other people in a kind and compassionate way. But it always starts with us.
And when you say intentional, can you talk a little bit about that and tell us what that means to you?
Well, I'll give you an example that happened to me today.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us enjoy our showers, but sometimes we just don't really pay attention. We're not present to the water running or engaging in a way that really restores us. And today when I took my shower, I made it a little hotter than usual, and I stayed a little longer than usual, and I did some stretches. I did some breathing. I did some visualization. And when I emerged, I felt so much more energized, so much more positive, so much more alive. And it was just a few extra minutes, but it changed my energy. It shifted how I felt and my anticipation for my day.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so it's really intentional, meaning like you are bringing your full awareness, you're
Yes.
actually getting the benefit of the experience almost. You know, it reminds me of something I heard Jerry Seinfeld talk about once. He said he had heard an interview with George Burns, and
Mm-hmm.
George Burns had said, hey, when you sit down and you have a cup of coffee, if it's a good cup of coffee, make sure you say to yourself, this is a good cup of coffee, because you need to really acknowledge those things. And that's really just what you were describing with your example of the shower. So I think that's wonderful because that is so important. So let me ask you then, if we are aware of this and we want to do this, what are some roadblocks that might prevent us from doing it?
Well, the most common reason that people share with me that they don't put themselves high on their priority list for self-care is usually they don't have enough time, but we have more time for that now. Most of us do, but it's always an important part of the underlying fabric of our lives, because the true reason, if we dig deeper, is many times we feel as if we're being selfish, or as if even we don't deserve it, that we should always be in the give mode. And I know now we're hearing a lot about finding ways to be of service, finding ways to support others in our community. But again, we have to remind ourselves that unless we're filled up, unless we're nourished, that we're not going to have a lot of surplus to give. And we might even be depleting ourselves to a level that's unhealthy and might endanger us, as we are sometimes taking some small risk, even going to the grocery store to replenish our food supply. So we need to take care of ourselves. But it's okay. It's never selfish. It's really self-empowering and self-healing. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
So it's kind of like working to achieve a mind shift almost, and saying taking care of ourselves is not selfish. It's really going to allow us to do the things that we want to better, including helping other people. Yeah.
And we're a lot easier to live with too. When I'm more engaged in self-care, even my pets like me better, but especially my husband and my children.
Well, that's a great point. It's true, because you can sometimes hear too, people, when they give, they can suddenly become resentful, not even necessarily aware of it, but feeling
Right.
You kind of get your batteries or your bank account, however you want to put it, becomes empty or overdrawn, and then you just don't have a lot to give. So, well, I love that. So, if we are thinking of people that are realizing that they do indeed need to think about this self-care and do indeed need to take the time, but they're saying maybe time is the biggest roadblock that they have. Do you have any suggestions for how we can overcome that, or how we can really make this shift in our thinking?
The time issue gets escalated when people think that it entails something extravagant, like a massage or a manicure or a day at the spa or time at the health club, which we're not really doing now anyway. True. But it only can take a few minutes as well. It's something that nourishes us, that feeds us. It can be enjoying our favorite foods. It can be taking the time to stretch and bend before we launch into our day. It can even, like for me, I have 3 cats, and I've been spending extra time cuddling with my cats these days because it's uplifting to me. It feels good because we're not having the kind of contact that we generally do. So people that have pets can really enjoy that. I FaceTime with a friend of mine the other night, and we literally gave each other virtual hugs as we were getting off. So it doesn't have to be very time consuming. It can be reflecting on the things that we're grateful for, either as a pause. I have a Fitbit, and I get a message when I need to take more steps every hour. And it can be a pause for me to get up and walk around my house or outside for a few minutes. And it can be combined with a sense of gratefulness for what is happening that is positive and uplifting and encouraging.
Okay, so I love that. So basically, if we look at it as not having to be a huge chunk of time, as you said, but really something much smaller, we can still fulfill ourselves, and as you mentioned, really put that gratitude element into it. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that gratitude element. I had a full jar of coconut oil fall out of the pantry the other day, and of course it shattered. And my first thought was, thank goodness it's coconut oil, because up here in the Northeast, it's cool now. So that was a solid. All I had to clean up was glass. I didn't have to clean. If it had been olive oil or something, I would have had a much bigger mess. So you're right. We have to really find that silver lining, if you will, and give ourselves the time. Well, I think that was a really, really, it's a really important thing that we can do right now. Even if you're in the middle of something, allow yourself the opportunity to step back and take 2 minutes, you know, go into the bathroom, close the door, even if you don't have that toilet paper because everybody bought it, give yourself a couple of minutes of quiet.
Sure. And implement your breathing technique. And we can have compassion for ourselves. Self-compassion is a very important awareness that we treat ourselves as if we are our own best friend. And we can say, in this moment, I am struggling. If we want to say even the word suffering, it's okay. It is a challenge. Maybe we have people that we're quite concerned about their health. There are many issues that we're confronting, and we can acknowledge that this is something that we're sharing with others across the planet. It's a time of shared humanity, if you will. but we can also continue to make our own proactive choices.
Definitely. I love that. And Nancy, I understand that you have a book coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I would love to. It's called Energy Sparks to Recharge, Refresh, and Revitalize. And it's a 52 tips, and they are in 13 different categories. Many of the tips are things that you might have done in the past or thought of, but it's a reminder and a review, because sometimes when we do get busy or we get distracted, we forget to take the necessary steps. And there are tips, there's some resources that are available from my website as well. And I'm really encouraged. I've been practicing my own tips during this time, and I'm happy to see that they're really helping me feel better and notice how I can shift and make my days go by better and be more effective in what I share with other people. So
they've been tested. They're tested. You know that we have this opportunity here, and you're testing them, and they're working. So that's wonderful. And can you give us your? I'm sorry. Can you give us your website, Nancy?
Sure. It's theenergycreators.com.
Theenergycreators.com.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I will put all of that information in the show notes for anybody who's interested in following up. And I thank you so much for sharing this wonderful tip with us about really nurturing ourselves and giving us the permission to nurture ourselves, because that is indeed what allows us to help other people the way we want to. Well, thank you so much, Nancy.
Okay, Tara, blessings to you. Stay well.
Thank you. You too.